Okay, hi. So today we'll move with other topics of conduction topic. So we have studied what was the radial conduction through hollow pipes, right? Now let us understand one very good concept that is critical radius of insulation, which is very popular topic among the PSU exams. So let us understand what is it. So we are going to understand is what is critical radius of insulation. Critical radius of insulation. Critical radius of insulation. Okay. So how do we understand it? See, what happens is like whenever you are adding insulators, like we have seen in case of radial heat conduction, we have seen that we added some cover in order to avoid the heat loss. Then there is a question that what should be the thickness of that particular insulation. This is very critical, that if you don't add like as per the requirement, then it might happen that you have added to reduce the heat loss, but it might happen that it has been increasing the heat loss. So in order to understand that, what we have seen is that let us say there is a, for example, let us say there is a electrical wire even, okay, and there is one cover upon it, and how this cover would look like is that, okay, then we have seen that it has atmosphere outside, and atmosphere can have H as the heat transfer coefficient, and let us say that this radius is Ri and this radius is R0. Okay, and let us say that there is some electricity is, like some current is flowing into this one. Okay, then I name this one as insulator. Okay, then by adding insulator, if I draw the thermal circuit, what is that thermal circuit? If I have started my travel from this point, then what is the thermal resistances which can come into the picture to the heat flow from this direction? What can be that? One is, like, let us say that I am at Ti, then what is the what? This insulator, provided insulator, right? So due to this, there will be one heat resistance. And what is that? We have seen this can be log of R naught upon Ri and divided by 2 pi K. Yeah. And what is the K here? K is the insulator's what? Thermal conductivity. Okay. And then there is one atmospheric what? Resistance. So what I can write of that this is 1 upon H into A. And what is that area? Area which is coming into picture is 2 pi R naught into L, right? Why? Because this is a pipe. Then we have seen that what was the heat transfer area. This is the area through which this can transfer its heat. Then what is that area? This is nothing but 2 pi. And to what is the radius? R naught. So I can write this is H into 2 into pi into R naught into L, right? I can write. Okay. And this is your ambient temperature. Got the idea? Like you have started from this point and then you have traveled till this point. Then what are the resistances? This one. Then can you see, if I see, there is one very good phenomenon here. If I increase the radius, like if I keep on increasing this radius, then what happens is that this value is increasing. That means this whole value will get increased. Yes, simple. But what about this value? If I keep on increasing this R naught, then my thermal conductions, or what I can say that resistance due to conductance is being what? Increased. But what about the resistance due to what? Convection. What happens is that this R naught value, if I increase this overall value decreases. I am talking with respect to one. With the increase in R naught, this value increases, then this value decreases. Then you will have to look after what is the overall effect. It might happen that certain point this point is dominating, and it might happen that till certain point this point is dominating. So you will have to find, if you are willing to find out that what is the optimum value of R naught, so that your heat loss is maximum, then you will have to find out that the optimum connection between these two. Then what I can do is that my q is function of, like, if inner radius is always fixed now, you cannot change this one, then q is function of R naught only. Q is function of R naught only. And then when you differentiate this one with respect to R naught and put it equal to 0 in order to get the maximum value, then this R naught value comes out as, this is as K of insulator. Here what is this K? K is of insulator. So K of insulators divided by your H value, which is the atmospheric, means what, heat transfer coefficient outside. So this R naught value, now I know that what is this R naught value I should take so that my heat loss is maximum. Okay, so what happens if I draw the nature of, means like if you are increasing this R naught, and if I try to draw the curve between R naught and what, Q, then if this is my R naught and this is my Q, then what happens is that till you are increasing R naught, then what happens is that till certain point it increases, it reaches its maximum value, and then after this point it falls. Then what does it mean? That this R naught, this is that R naught which is the maximum value at which we can see, not maximum, what I can see is that this is the R naught at which Q is maximum. Can you see at this point the rate of heat loss is maximum? So now I know that if I have added insulator beyond Q naught, then what happens? My Q decreases. Yes or no? Like if you have the R naught value beyond the critical one I know. How you can find out? Like let us say that they will give you the value of this one, like whatever it is, like let us say 0.5 watt per meter Kelvin, and H value for atmosphere, what it can lie up to 10, 20, right? So these values will be known to us. Then I can know the what is this value of R naught. So what I can decide from here is that in order to get the maximum heat loss, what I will have to do is that I will have to put R naught to that value. Like if you are beyond this R naught, then what you can see is that your Q naught value, which is the heat loss, is what is decreasing with the respect, with the increase of R naught. So this is the one which is helping you to what, understand that there is one maximum, means there is R naught corresponding to which Q is maximum. Got the idea? So this is that Q max. Okay, and this R naught I can say this is the critical. I hope you understand. Okay, and where we are utilizing this one in order to, let us say that some if this was not an electrical wire, and let us say some fluid was flowing through it, then somebody is willing that the heat inside it, the Ti should not get lost. Then what you will have to do is that you will have to provide R naught at least beyond what, critical, so that your heat is not being lost, otherwise you will suffer huge loss. But if sometimes you, sometimes there are applications where you need to lose this heat. What are those? Like in terms of we can see electrical wires, like which are transporting electricity, then you can see is that they are covered with certain insulators. Why we are doing so? That every material has their own limit on melting point temperature. Then when the electricity is flowing through heat, some heat is generated. If I don't reject this heat to the atmosphere, then what would happen is that my metal will start melting. So in order to get rid of that, what do I do is that I provide insulators which can increase the heat loss. In that case, what I will do is that I will put this R naught. But when I desire that I am not willing to conduct any, or I am not willing to lose my heat, then what will be the my R naught value? This one. Got the idea? And then this was the case of cylinder. In case of cylinders, what is this R naught value is K by H, and particularly this is insulators by H. And in case of spheres, we have not seen, right? But we'll see that how to analyze the heat transfer through spheres. So this R naught value becomes 2 into K insulator by H. Derivation is not important, so we should not just remember this value, and we should know that what was the idea to get rich this one. See, what happens is that if you look after, then what is your q is delta t upon r. Delta t is anyway fixed, then you will have to look after r. If this r decreases, then q increases, and this r will decrease when this will decrease, tell me, when your overall effect is that like this value is decreasing, right? Like even though you are increasing, but overall effect is decreasing. So that is fine. We can see that we have two phenomenons which are opposite to each other. Then I will have to look after that what is the optimum one. Okay, now let us move to radial conduction through home spherical container. Through what? Spherical containers. Okay, then what happens with the case of spheres? This is something like this, and I am trying to study whom? Hollow spherical containers, more particularly hollow. Okay, then what happens is that let us say there is a chamber, and in this chamber you are having let us say that says some fluid into it. Then you are willing to analyze that, like if this is my surface temperature T1, and I'm losing heat through all these points, and this is my surface temperature T2, then I am willing to find out that what is the thermal resistance. So here again what happens is that again in this direction we have seen in the case of cylinders also, that T is function of radius only. Like with the change in radius your temperature is getting changed. Then you can see now that I have seen that at R is equal to R1, my T is what? T1. Similarly, when R is equal to R2, my T is equal to T2. Okay, then for steady state conduction, what is your Fourier's law? This says that Q is minus of Ka dt upon what is the here dx, thickness is nothing but dr. Then you will have to find out this area and integrate it. So this area here is now what? This is sphere. So what is the surface area of a sphere? Nothing but 4 pi r square. So area here is 4 pi r square. Okay. Now what you can do is that Q is equal to minus of K 4 pi r square dt by dr, and now your limit changes from what? You are integrating it between, or let us say let us separate the variables first. Then what you can see is that Q into dr upon 4 pi r square 4 pi r square is equal to minus of K into dt, and your temperature limits is between T1 to T2, and here your R is varying from Ri to R not, or let us remember in terms of R1 R2 only. So R1 R2, then when you integrate it now, then this comes out as that Q is equal to, I'm writing in the next slide, or let me write here. Then your Q comes out as Q is equal to 4 pi K 4 pi k, the integration you can do now, then I am writing the result. 4 pi k T1 minus T2 into R1 R2 multiplied by R1 R2 divided by R1 minus R2. So now tell me, what is the thermal resistance? Thermal resistance, we have seen that Q is delta T upon R, right? So what is this delta T here? T1 minus T2. So anything other than T1 minus T2 is nothing but trying to represent the thermal resistance. So now my thermal resistance becomes what? R1 minus R2 upon 4 pi K R1 R2. So can I write down R thermal is R1 minus R2 divided by 4 pi K R1 R2. Can I write? Yeah. So my thermal resistance in case of spherical containers is R1 minus R2 divided by 4 pi K R1 R2. Okay. Now if they can add more insulators upon it, then what you would do in that case? Nothing but what you would do is that in case of like cylinders, we have seen that this is R1 R2, and let me see that this is R1, this is R2, and then this is R3. Then simply what you would do is that you will write first between these two and then between these two. So the idea is simple. Okay. Now let us move to home. Like till now what we have seen, that there can there was unidirectional heat transfer, means it was happening with respect to one direction only, but there can be instances that heat is conducted into more than one direction, like it can happen in till three directions, like in XYZ. In all of these direction heat can transfer simultaneously, one thing. And second thing is that I have assumed that this is a steady state, but it can also happen that there are some unsteady state. Unsteady state means what? That my body is not conducting that much of it, which it is absorbing. There can be instances my body will absorb certain heat. And the third one is that there can be instances that when your body is also generating some heat, you are gaining some heat, then your body is generating some heat, and then you are transferring these two heats simultaneously. Then you will have to find out what will be my heat conduction equation in that case. So I am helping you to write down what is the generalized heat conduction equation. Okay. Generalized heat conduction equation. Okay. So what are the cases here that I will be discussing? The case is 3D and unsteady state. Steady or unsteady, for all of them you can apply. So this is steady or unsteady case. For both of them this will be valid. Okay. Then we have with or without heat generation. Okay. Then now, so let us first assume that there is a slab through which heat is flowing. So derivation is not important. So I would just help you to understand that how we have done this. Okay. Because in order to crack the exam, you should know what is the right approach also. So let us say that this is that slab into which we are going to talk about that what is the heat transfer. So let me take one slab here. Okay. So I have taken what a differential element and I will analyze things into this one. And then if I am able to analyze things into this one, then what I can do is that I can apply the same analogy into the rest of the three directions. Okay, so let us say that this is the x direction. So here your q is x and this element is dx. Then here we are getting heat outside is q of x plus dx, one thing. Okay, and your body is also generating some heat, right? So what is that generation rate? Let us say that q dot is the heat generation per unit volume. Okay, now so can I see that qx is, what is qx in general? What you can write, this is minus of ka dt upon dx. This is what you can write. And what is qx plus dx? Is nothing but minus of ka dt by dx, plus I can write that del upon del x into what? Qx into dx. Yeah, like you take the differentiation of it and you multiplied it by what is the distance you are talking about, right? So qx and qx plus dx I know. And if q dot is the heat generation per unit volume, then what is the total heat generated? This becomes q dot into volume into area, and I am talking about which this strip. Then what do I have is that q dot into cross sectional area, this is constant, so a into dx. Now what I would do is that I will apply what energy conservation at this strip, and then I would see that what is the changes I can observe. So can you see that if this is the case of unsteady state, then what happens is that what this strip is getting, this strip is getting qx, plus it is getting what is the heat generated into adx, and this is what the things which are going outside this strip is q of x plus dx, one thing. And the second thing is rate of change of internal energy with respect to time. So this is rate of change of internal energy with respect to what? Time. This is what now, like this was the total heat coming to it, and this is the going. If this is not equal to this one, like if I say qx plus dx is not equal to this one, then this is the amount which is getting into the body, and this amount which is being stored into the body will change the internal energy of the body. So this is the idea of this equation. So now if you solve this one, now then what you are going to get is, I am writing down that one. Then can I write down that this qx plus dx was what? Q of x plus del upon del x into qx into dx. This was this one, right? And what is the rate of change of internal energy? So can I write down this as the del upon del t? I am writing this one as tau. Why? Because we have t, certainly we can mistaken it by temperature. So that is why I have taken this denotation for what? The time. And I'm talking about the rate of change of internal energy. What is the change of internal energy? In fact, mcpt, right? So can I write down that what is my internal energy? mcpt. And what is m is density into volume. So can I write down this is rho a dx and cp into what? T. And on this side this is qx and this is q dot into adx. So now you can see that you can cancel certain terms. So this qx got cancelled out. I can cancel a few more terms. What is that? What is that? Tell me. This is a, right? So a I can also cancel out. Why? Because in this qx is nothing but, if I solve this one, then can I write down this is del upon del x into minus ka dt upon dx into dx, right? So I can cancel out a also. So this a and a also get cancelled out, and I can cancel one more thing. What is that? Dx. So I can cancel out dx and dx. Then what I am left with is that on this side, if I particularly talk about, then can I say that this is k into dt square upon dx square? And if I take it on this side, then this is positive. So can I write down k into d square t upon dt square? This is x now. Del square t upon del x square k into y, because this becomes what, double derivative. So double derivative of temperature with respect to x, and if I take it on this side, this is positive, and this q dot was already there, is equal to what, rho into cp, rho into cp into what, delta t upon delta tau. So this is nothing but I am talking this one with respect to whom, time. So in x direction I know. So similar analogy I can apply for y and z direction. So now can I write down the generalized heat conduction equation? Then what it would look like is k into del square t upon del x square plus k into del square t upon del y square plus k into del square t upon del z square plus q dot is equal to rho times cp into delta t upon delta tau. This we have seen. Okay. So now, can you see one thing, that k I can take common from all the sides. So now I can write del square t upon del x square plus del square t upon del y square plus del square t upon del z square plus q dot upon k is equal to rho cp upon k into delta t upon delta tau. Now I can see that there is one ratio of certain values. What is this? That these cannot be sorted, and this ratio is trying to say you something. This ratio is called alpha, like this is 1 upon alpha. So from this one alpha I define that alpha is thermal diffusivity. And what is this thermal diffusivity? Is that this, it is the ratio of what is my thermal conductivity, what is the thermal storage I can do. So alpha is equal to, I can see this is k upon rho cp. Can you see? So what is this alpha trying to depict? It says that the body has some ability to conduct the heat, like who will tell that value, K, and body has the capacity to store the energy, and who is telling that, rho Cp. So this ratio signifies that if this value, let us say that this is greater than 1, then what it tries to signify is that it will conduct more heat compared to it will be storing. What happens is that this heat to the next. Store capacity is decided by rho Cp, and the conducting capacity is decided by whom, K. So if this ratio is greater than 1, then I am trying to tell this fact indirectly that my ability to diffuse the heat is more. Got the idea? So it also says you about what, that how quickly you can diffuse the heat you are getting. Diffuse means what, whatever you have got, you have diffused it, passed it to the next one. Okay, so what is this thermal diffusibility? It tells you that how quickly you can diffuse the heat. So this ratio is now I have defined it as k upon rho cp. So this ratio is nothing but 1 upon alpha. Can I see? Yeah. So now what is my generalized heat conduction equation is del square T upon del x square plus del square T upon del y square plus del square T upon del z square plus q dot upon k is equal to 1 upon alpha into delta T upon delta tau. Can you see? Yes. So this is the generalized heat conduction equation. Now there can be special cases of this one. What are those? Let us see. see, certain times it might happen that they would say that there is no heat generation. They can say that there is no heat generation. Certain times they can say that there it is an steady case but heat generation, and then they can also say that there is no heat generation and there is no means unsteadiness. That means the case is steady. So what are the special cases like of this particular one only? This particular equation, if you remember this one, then this is the generalized, then you can always reach to the special ones. Like for the given scenarios, let us say that if I am talking about, see, certain times what they would ask you, that they will give you the scenario. They might give you scenario that, let us say, without heat generation, like there is no heat generation, without heat generation, there is no heat generation, and so second thing is what, that it is steady state. Then what happens is that if it is a steady state, then this temperature things, this will directly come in, become what, zero. If there is unsteadiness, then only it can be differentiated with respect to time, right? And second thing is that there is no heat generation, then can I say that this is nothing but plus del square T upon del z square is equal to what? 0. So can you see that this is nothing but the Laplace equation of temperature, right? So certain times they might ask you that if a equation satisfies the Laplace equation, like they might ask you that if the temperature distribution or temperature, in fact, they might ask you that the my heat generation equation is the Laplace equation, then what is the assumption, or what is not even assumption, it is the perfect case, right? So they might ask you that what are the flow conditions, then what you would say is that there is no heat generation and it is an steady state as well. Okay, in a steady state, what happens whenever you are working with the steady state, then what you can write is that your temperature is not changing with respect to whom, with respect to time. So this value automatically comes what, 0. So this Laplace equation in temperature shows that this is the case of steady state, 3D conduction, and without heat generation. Yeah. Okay. Now let us say that sometimes they will give you that this is not the case of 3D heat generation. There can be instances that they will ask you that I am not worried about what happens is the in the 3D. I am only worried about that what is the case and what are the temperature distribution even when I am working with the slab, and this slab, right? And then what I'm trying to see is that this slab has one strip, and with respect to this you have analyzed. Now I'm telling you that since you have already analyzed it, right? So what I would do is that let us apply our learnings directly to the given situation. So now I'm given with what, that conduction, the situation I am trying to depict is that conduction with heat generation in a slab and direction like the heat travel is in one direction only. Okay, so can I say that this is one dimensional heat conduction, heat conduction, and with what, with heat generation. Okay, then what happens here is that here we are trying to find out, like we have one situation. What is that? That if I apply my generalized heat conduction equation, and this is the steady state as well. Steady state. Okay. Then my heat conduction equation will reduce to whom? Del square T upon del x square plus Q dot upon K is equal to 0. This is what? Right? Why? Because this is the case of steady state. Then if I say that this is my x is equal to minus L and this is x is equal to plus L and I am at this value, this is x is equal to 0, then in order to find out the temperature distribution, what you would do is that you will integrate it twice, right? So can I write down that this del square T upon del x square is minus of Q dot upon K? Then if you integrate it, then what it becomes is that, and if this is the case of one direction only, then I can write it as full differentials also. So can I write down that d square T upon dx square is equal to minus of Q dot upon K? Then can I write down that dt upon dx is equal to minus of Q dot upon K into x plus some constant C1. Then what is the temperature? Temperature is minus of Q dot upon K into x square by 2 plus C1 x plus C2. So this is the case of my temperature distribution. Now, if you are able to find out what constant C1 and C2, then you can find out the temperature variation, right? Clear? So you can find out the temperature variation, and then once you are find out with the temperature distribution, then if somebody is willing to ask you to find out the temperature at any position, let us say that this position, any position in general, then what you would do is that you will put that x value into this temperature equation and then you will find out, right? So what is the condition? What are the ways to find out this C2? Using boundary conditions. How we are finding it? Using boundary conditions. How you would do is that using boundary conditions, right? Okay. So what are those boundary conditions? What are those boundary conditions? So you can utilize the boundary conditions through what? That, see, this is your wall temperature and this is your again wall temperature only. So this is TW and this is also TW only. Then this is H, this is also H, means that this wall is what, exposed to the same ambient on the both of the sides. Then how can I solve this one? So one special boundary conditions, like I am moving to the next slide. So one boundary condition is that at x is equal to plus L and at x equal to minus L, what I can see is that at these two plus L and minus L, T is equal to TW, right? So then you go on and put these things into your equation. Okay. So to satisfy this condition, what you would do see is that your condition is T is equal to minus of Q upon K into x square by 2 plus C1x plus C2. Then what you can see is that this C1 value will have to become 0. Then only this condition is possible. Okay. Then if this C1 value is 0, then what you can see is that next thing is that you can find out dt upon dx. dt upon dx and put it equal to 0. Then what is dt upon dx? We have seen where this dt upon dx would exist. Where this dt upon dx would exist? Tell me. At x is equal to 0 only. What I can do is that what is my dt upon dx? My dt upon dx is this one. And when I put this one equal to 0 and c1 is already 0, then x will have to 0. Then only I can get the maximum temperature condition. So if I put dt upon dx is equal to 0, then what I am trying to see is that 0 is equal to minus of q dot upon k, minus of q dot upon k into x plus c is equal to 0. Then can I say that my x is equal to 0? Then only this is possible, otherwise this is not possible. Then I have reached one conclusion that my temperature will be maximum midway into the plane. And now my task is to find out what is C2. What is C2? So in order to find C2, let me say that this maximum temperature is T naught. T naught is the max temperature, okay? Then what I can see is that at x is equal to 0, at x is equal to 0, t is equal to, I know this is t naught. Now if I put t is equal to t naught into this equation, then I can find out the value of t naught also. If I put t is equal to t naught, then this is minus of q upon k, and x value is 0 only, right? So into 0 square by 2 plus C1 value is already 0 plus C2. So can you see that C2 is a unique constant, right? And C2 value is T naught only. So now if I wish to write down my temperature variation, then my temperature variation T is equal to minus of Q dot upon K into x square by 2 plus T naught. Can I see? Yes. So now using this equation, you can find out the temperature at the any given scenario, and based on the boundary conditions, this value can get changed, right? But I have derived it for some what non things, and based on the boundary conditions, these things are bound to change. Then if I say that this is the midway, then one thing I can see is that what is the variation. Question would come that what is the variation. So what is the variation? Parabolic, yes or no? This is parabolic variation, okay? And then you have started from some value, and then you have reached till maximum, and then you have again reached this value, yes or no? So your variation would look like this one only, okay? So this is the temperature variation into a slab when it is exposed to the same atmosphere. And can you see there is maximum temperature where x is equal to 0 or midway into the plane. Yeah. Okay. Now let us move further, and now let us try to understand what is the scenarios where you can increase the heat conduction by some means. So now my problem statement is that to enhance the heat transfer, how to enhance the conduction heat transfer, more specifically how to enhance the conduction heat transfer. So one idea which comes into our mind is number one, like conduction heat transfer, how I can enhance it. So can you see that heat conduction is nothing but the function of what? Area and temperature. Yeah, like Q is equal to Ka dt upon dx. Then can you appreciate few things that Q is function of minus Ka dt upon dx. Then if I wish to increase this Q value, then what things are in our hand? See, once your scenario is fixed means what? Your thermal conductivity is automatically fixed. Yeah, this thermal conductivity is not going to change, first thing. And second thing now is area, and the third thing is dt upon dx. Okay, then again this thing is not in your pocket. Why? Because you will have to, like when you are working, then your atmosphere has some temperature which is fixed, and your working temperature is not in your hand. Then this dt is also out of your hand. Then only thing you can work upon is that, can I do certain changes into this a? Yeah. So yes, definitely, if I can produce some changes into A, then this Q is bound to increase. So this is the way where one very important phenomenon come into picture called fins. So now how we can enhance it is through fins. So what are fins? Fins are the surfaces which are protruding outside from a given surface. So for, let us say that I am having a, let us say that this is the surface I have. Okay, and then let us say that we are installing some fins into it. Okay, so what it can happen is that what I have done is that I have added an extended surface into it, right? Similarly, I can increase this number. Then what happens is that the heat has conducted to this point. So this is the area which has been increased, right? So from this area, the heat has started travel, right? So what I am trying to do now is that I will add certain number of these surfaces. Let us say that there was one wall. Then how I can extend the heat transfer is that I cannot increase this area, right? So this area was fixed. But if I can install certain fins into it, then what can happen, that these fins are automatically increasing the area of this wall, which is responsible for heat transfer. So my idea to install the fins is to enhance the heat transfers. Okay, now let us try to analyze, and what are the examples like where we can see fins. Where we can see fins we can see is in air cooled engines, right? Air cooled engines, radiators, reciprocating air compressors. We must have seen fins in our life, but it might happen that we have not noticed. But now when you see that there are some surfaces which are protruding outside of the given surface, then you would assume that this is nothing but the fin only. Okay, then we have seen in reciprocating air compressor, like that we have many applications of fins. Okay, so now one thing you have decided that, okay, extend the surface, then heat transfer would increase. Then my next question is that what is the amount which will get enhanced, right? So you will have to analyze those fins. So my next topic is analysis of what? Of fins, of fins, and more particularly rectangular fins. Okay, so what I would do is that, let me draw a fin first. Like derivation part, I would not take into that much, but I will at least make you understand that how things comes into picture. Okay. So let us say this is the given wall, and from this wall I have a fin which is coming to the outside. Let us say that this is that fin. So can you imagine that there is a wall and there is a fin coming outside? So now my idea is to find out what is the heat transfer or what is the enhanced heat transfer you are going to get, right? So before analyzing that, let us understand the parameters included into it. So it has got one cross-sectional area, that is A, right? And there is one thing, that there is the perimeter of this cross section, right? So this is the perimeter of what? Cross section. So can I write down this is nothing but perimeter? So can you see that this fin has got certain perimeter, certain cross sectional area? Then if I now install, or not install, like I am trying to find out to a strip what changes we are going to get. So to an strip we are trying to analyze the things. So let us say again that there is one qx coming to this point, and then qx plus dx is going outside from this point. Then can you see that this is losing heat through convection also? Yeah, like there is you decide that the conduction heat transfer increases, but simultaneously you are getting convection heat transfer in the addition. So this is one benefit. Okay, so this is perimeter, here your q convection, and let us say that convection heat transfer coefficient is h, and your perimeter, let us say this is p, your cross sectional area is a, and this is the length of fin, this is the length of fin, let us say this value is L. And now I am deciding that at that what are the changes I am going to feel. So let us say that you have started your journey from x is equal to 0. Then now if I say that this is the width, let us say that this is the width and this is the thickness of the fin. So now I have L as length of fin. Okay, and then I have this width of fin, and then I have T is which is thickness of fin. Okay, then can I write down what is the profile area or cross sectional area A? So what is this cross sectional area? Tell me. This is T and Z. So can I write down this is this one? Area is this, and what is perimeter? Perimeter is 2 times of this plus T. Yeah. So now I know what is area and perimeter. Now if I go on analyzing the spin, then what you would see is that you have one heat conduction here, you have one heat conduction at this point, and then heat is being conducted to another point, then meanwhile it is convecting also. So what are the changes now I can see? Can I see that I can write down this qx value which has come to this what strip is equal to what is the heat conducted away. So we heat conducted away out of the fin, first thing. Second thing is that heat convected away. Can I write? Plus heat convected away. Yeah. So this is first thing. And second thing, more importantly, that can I write qx is equal to q of x plus dx plus q convected, right? So let us try to find out the magnitude of conducted and convected. So what will be the magnitude of convected heat? So q convected, this would be equal to what? The H value into area. Which area? This area, right? This area now. Why? Because this is responsible for convection. So this area, can you feel that this is nothing but perimeter into the distance? So if I talk about the strip, so can I write down this is HP into dx, and let us say that at particular instant the temperature is T and it is convected to the atmosphere which is at T infinity. So Q convected now I know. And what about qx plus dx? This just now we have seen in the case of what? In the case of slab also we have solved now. So qx is equal to, I can write this is qx plus dx, and dx is del q upon del x into dx. Can I write? Yeah, plus hp h into p into dx into t minus t infinity. Now, can you see that again this qx and qx gone? And if you expand this one, then what it would look like? This is 0 is equal to, this is del upon del x, and if you expand this one, this is minus of ka dt upon dx into dx plus hp dx into t minus t infinity. Then what happens is that dx if you cancel it, then your t square t upon dx square, this is equal to minus of hp upon ka minus of hp upon ka into t minus t infinity is equal to 0. So now can you see that this is second order differential equation, and in order to find out the temperature distribution you need to solve it. So what we did is that we approximated this as some value. Let us say that all these things are constant, like h is constant, p is constant, ka, all are constant. So we consider that this m square is equal to hp upon ka. Okay, so now can I write down this equation as d square t upon dx square minus of m square into this t minus t infinity, if I take it as theta, is equal to 0. Now you know how to solve the differential equation. So the solution of this equation is theta is equal to c1 into e to the power what? Mx and minus mx. So this is c1 e to the power minus mx plus c2 e to the power plus mx. This is the solution of this differential equation, right? And now you will have to find out again the c1 and c2, which is constant, and then you find out this c1 c2 put into this theta equation. Then you will find out the temperature variation, now which I am writing down directly. This c1 and c2 are found by whom? The boundary conditions. Okay, so now I am going to what? To write down the temperature variation. So temperature, before writing down the temperature variation, let us try to understand that how these fins can be in the nature. So this can be what? That fin is infinitely long, like you have installed very long fin. So what do I name it as? The is fin is infinitely long. So when your fin is infinitely long, then your efficiency, sorry, your temperature distribution, this is theta upon theta naught. Then what is theta? T minus T infinity. And what is theta naught? Is T naught minus T infinity. T naught is the initial temperature of the what? Fin. Okay, so t minus t infinity upon t naught minus t infinity is equal to what? E to the power minus mx. So this is the variation number 1. What is the variation? Like they will ask you that what is the temperature variation or distribution when your fin is infinitely long? Your answer is this. Okay, and then you have case 2. What is case 2? Case 2 is fin is finite in length. Fin is finite in length, but adiabatic. Then what happens when your fin is finite in length, but it is adiabatic? Then your temperature distribution is adiabatic means what? That your means tip is adiabatic. Tip is adiabatic means your fin is insulated at the tip. Like if this was your fin, then this part is insulated, like the fin is not losing heat from this part. So if this tip is got as insulated, then your temperature distribution looks like T minus T infinity upon T naught minus T infinity. This is T naught. T naught minus T infinity is equal to hyperbolic cos hyperbolic m into L minus x upon cos hyperbolic ml. So what is m? Square root of hp upon ka 1, and the second thing is what is L and x. So L was the total length and x is the at what point you are deciding it. Okay, now let us try to understand the amount of heat transfers also. So amount of heat transfer in this case, amount of heat transfer in this case is q fin. Q fin in what case? That if I draw a thin line here, then q of fin, in which case when your fin is infinitely long, then your q fin is square root of hpka into T naught minus T. What is T naught? T naught is the initial temperature at which your fin has got taken start. So T naught is the what temperature? This temperature, like this wall has got some temperature. So that temperature is nothing but T naught. Got the idea? So T naught is what? T naught is this temperature. What do I name it? Base or root temperature. Base or root temperature. Okay. And then we have T. So T is the temperature at any instant. So you are deciding T. So now your motive is to certain times find out what is the amount can be get transferred. So this is that value. Similarly, when you are working with, when your fin tip is adiabatic, that means that it is not losing heat through the tip, then your Q fin is this square root of HPKA is common. Then only thing which is varying here is that you will have tan hyperbolic ml multiplied into it. So this T naught minus T infinity part was already there, and then we have tan hyperbolic m into L, the product of m into L, the hyperbolic tan of ml. Okay, so this is the Q fin. Okay. Now let us move to case third. Let us move to case third. Case third. Here your fin is finite in length, finite in length, but losing heat through its tip. But losing heat through its tip. Okay. So what happens here is that how this is different from this one. Here fin was finite in length, but it was not losing heat through the tip. But here you have started losing heat through the tip. Then what do we do is that we try to get it converted into whom? This case only. Then what I would do is that let us say, for example, I have a circular fin. Okay. So let us say that its length was L. Okay. Then how do you solve it is that you try to imagine it with respect to that there is another fin which is of same diameter, but its length is like this one, like its length is increased by some amount, and now this is assumed insulated. Got the idea how this is solved? that was not insulated. So what I did is that I have increased its length, and then I assume that it is not losing heat from this point. So this is the change length, right? So now what I would do is that I will change the length. So what I name it is that corrected length. So now this is LC, this was L. So what is LC value? Corrected length is nothing but length plus d by 4 when you are working with which fin? Circular fin. Circular fin. Okay. And then there can be case that you are working with the rectangular fins like we have seen, right? So in that case, what will be your LC? LC will be L. LC means what? Corrected length. What is LC? LC is corrected length. Okay. So now my corrected length in case of rectangular fin, in case of rectangular fin, LC is equal to L plus T by 2. So we should keep this thing in mind, that what was the corrected length. Sometimes they might ask you the corrected length even. Okay. Now what is the idea? To find out the what is the heat transfer. So my idea is to find out heat transfer. So again, if I find out Q fin, then this square root of HPKA is common for all of the type of fin, and then we have T naught minus T infinity. Again, what is T naught? T naught is the base temperature, and here what do? Is that you multiplied it by tan hyperbolic of what? Mass. This is not mass. M is what? Square root of HP upon Ka. Okay. And then what is the temperature distribution? So the temperature distribution is like the previous one only. In case of insulated one we have seen, the only change is that we will be using corrected length in case of what? Length only. So this becomes what? Cos hyperbolic of whom? Mass into LC minus X divided by cos hyperbolic of m into LC. So this is not mass. Please mind me if I have said anytime this is mass. So cos hyperbolic m into LC minus x divided by cos MLC. Okay. So instead of L we put LC. So only thing we have changed here is that we have corrected the length, right? So now what do I know? I know what is the temperature distribution, and I also know what is the maximum amount which can be flowed. Like this is the amount this fin can transfer, right? Now we'll solve questions based on fins, heat conduction, and critical radius and other things in the next class. So before that, let us finish this theoretical part. Okay. So now let us come to a very important term, which is fin efficiency. Fin efficiency. So what is the efficiency of a fin? So fin, see, if you are installing the fin, then you should be able to find out that your fin is working efficiently. So you need to take care that what is the efficiency, like how efficient is your fin. So it is not like that you are installing it and you are not analyzing its efficiency. Okay. So efficiency of fin is defined as the ratio of, like if I define the efficiency of a fin, then it is defined as the ratio of whom? It is defined as the ratio of what is the actual heat you are transferring, like heat transferred, actual heat transferred by the fin. Yeah. And what is the maximum amount it can transfer? So maximum possible heat transfer. Yeah. So now, what is the actual heat transfer we have obtained till now? Let us say that in case of infinitely long fin, what we have seen, it was square root of HPKA multiplied by T minus infinity. What was this? T naught minus T infinity, right? And now let us find out what is the maximum possible heat transfer. So let us try to understand it with respect to something. Then only we will appreciate that what is the maximum heat it could have transferred. See, what is the maximum heat it can transfer? So can you see that this temperature in this direction was getting changed, right? So then only I got this as the heat transfer. Like, but if I assume that this whole fan is at some uniform temperature T, then in that case, what happens is that I can generalize it, like I will take the surface area, like how you applied this HA delta T, because this delta T here, it was uniform. This temperature difference was uniform. But in this case, this temperature difference is not uniform. That is why the heat transfer comes like this one. But here, if I assume that, like, what is the maximum possible, like every part of this is having the base temperature only, right? Like base temperature only, like this, all of these things, like in this direction the temperature is not same, like this is not as the base temperature, the temperature has got decreased. But if I assume that all of them are at height the same base temperature, then what happens is that I can get enhanced heat transfer. So now can I write down, this is maximum possible heat transfer, so can I write down this one as H into what? The area. So what is the area? If this is the cross sectional area, not cross sectional area, I need to find out what is the surface area, right? So surface area, can I write down, this is the length, if this is the length of the fin, and I know this is the perimeter, then perimeter multiplied by length. So I have now known what is the H into A, because now I am assuming that all the heat is being transferred at the same temperature. Then can I write down, this is T naught minus T infinity, right? So now I can see that my fin efficiency is nothing but this one only. And then I need to analyze few things about the efficiency of the fin. Now what is that? That can you see that this T naught minus T infinity part and this T naught minus T infinity part, these are getting Okay, now, so this is nothing but Ka upon Hp only, right? So this is Ka upon Hp. So can you see now that, and this is 1 upon L also. So this is not that significant, but I am trying to analyze certain things about it, okay? So what is that thing? What is that I am willing to analyze? I am willing to analyze that what is the effective efficiency of fin dependent upon? What is the thing on which this efficiency is dependent? So can you see my efficiency is dependent upon Ka and Hp. So can you see that in order to have higher efficiency, my K value should be higher? Yes. And what about H? What about H? This H value should be lower. Then only my fin will be called effective. Otherwise, I means efficient. Otherwise, I would not prefer that fin. So what is the idea? I need to have this K value higher and H value as the lower one. So my K is higher and H is low. Okay. So my efficiency of fin is this one. Then can you see one thing is this is nothing but Kp upon Ka upon Hp. So this is nothing but 1 upon m. So can I write down this is 10 hyperbolic ml upon m into L. Why? Because this value has got converted. Hm is equal to square root of Hp upon Ka we have seen, and here we have seen that this was got converted in this case was Ka upon Hp. So this is value is nothing but 1 upon m only. So sometimes efficiency of is equal to what value they are willing to ask us. So what I would do is that I will keep this thing in mind that my efficiency value is nothing but tan hyperbolic mn divided by m into L. Okay. Now, so one very important thing is that whenever you are going to choose the material for your fin, then what is thing you need to keep in mind? First thing is कि you are going to choose a fin with higher thermal conductivity, and second thing you are going to do is that you will not install fin. We will not install the fin the fin where h value, what is this h value, heat transfer coefficient value is higher. Why? Because my efficiency will got decreased. Okay. Now I am going to find out. See, one thing is that you will find out how efficient your fin is, and second thing is to find out that how your fin is efficient. Like if your fin has really worked to enhance the heat transfer. So my next agenda is to find out what is fin effectiveness. What is the difference between fin efficiency and fin effectiveness? Fin efficiency told us that how much efficiently we are losing the heat, and fin effectiveness told us that how much enhancement we have got. Let us say that earlier my heat loss was somewhere, then have got another value, like let us say earlier it was 10 kilojoule and now let us say it is 11 kilojoule. Then I say that okay, I am able to what enhance my heat transfer. But if I say that earlier without fin, like without fin this was the case, and this is with fin, then you can say that okay, I have got some increased value. But let us say that this was the case without fin and you have got 8 with fin, that means your heat transfer has got decreased. So now you will have to look after that. Okay, now so q with upon q without, right? So what is the efficiency with the fin? what is the heat transfer with the fin? So heat transfer with the fin, we have seen this is HPKA multiplied by, for adiabatic fin, if I talk about, this is T naught minus T infinity into tan hyperbolic ml. Yeah, and divided by we'll have to find out that if there was no fin, then what was the heat transfer. So let us say again, go to a wall, install a fin and look after the things. So what happens in this case is that here there is some area, let us say this area is A naught. Then what happens is that this area A naught is again losing some heat, right? So if there was no, and I am trying to find out what is the heat loss by this area. Why? Because if you are installing fan, then you are installing in some particular area, right? So what you are trying to calculate is that what is the enhancement you have got with respect to that particular area only. So if I am willing to find out Q without, then I am willing to find out about what? This one only. So what is this one? This is without the fin. So without fin, what happens? This temperature is T naught, atmosphere is T infinity, the area is A, I know. So can I write down this is H into A? H I know, the atmospheric means heat transfer coefficient is not going to change, right? Convective heat transfer coefficient. So H is already there, A is we know, and then what is the difference? T naught minus T infinity. So can you see now that my fin effectiveness is, if I change the color and then T naught minus T infinity, these things are gone. So now can you see my effectiveness is the ratio of, this is tan hyperbolic ml. And if I write down my effectiveness of fin, so tan hyperbolic ml multiplied by whom? Multiplied by the HA value is in the numerator, and this is having power 1 by 2, this is power 1 by 1. So this is what, this will come into negative means downside or in the denominator. So can I write down this one as, this is nothing but HA and this is nothing but KP. Yeah, so KP upon HA, can you see? Yeah. So my effectiveness of fin is the ratio of this one. So what is one important phenomenon we can take about from this one? That my effectiveness value should always be higher than 1. Otherwise, there is no purpose of installing fin. If your fin effectiveness is less than 1, then what does that mean? That when there was no fin, you were able to provide more heat transfer, but when you are installing fin, then your heat transfer value has decreased. One thing. And second most important thing about is that, can we see that this is the ratio? What we can see is that it is P by A. This ratio is P by A. So P by A means what? That perimeter upon area. So in order to have effective heat transfer, what should be this ratio? This ratio should be higher. Yes or no? Then only your effectiveness will be higher. And in order to get it higher value, you will install what? Thin fins and closely spaced. Then only your what? You are talking about this area, and then your P upon A is higher. It is possible only when you are installing so many of thin pins, then you will have perimeter values at higher. So what you can do here is that your K upon A, P upon A value should be what? Higher. So in order to have effective fins, what we would do is, in order to have effective fin, in order to have effective fin, what do we have? The fins should be fins should be thin and moreover closely spaced. Yeah. So this thing is so many times appeared in the exam. What is that? That how you are installing fin. So installation of fin should be in manner that your fins are thin and they are closely spaced. And what are other significant things is that your H value should be lesser, your K value should be higher. So this is all about fin. Yeah. Okay. Now let us quickly move to unsteady or transient heat conduction. Okay. So unsteady or transient heat conduction. See what is this? See, certain times what happens is that you are working with transient heat conduction, right? Like your heat conduction is there, but your body is changing temperature continuously. Then in that case, what happens is though your heat transfer is no more steady, but it has got converted into unsteady one. So in order to get work upon those conditions, we will have to derive this what is the generalized unsteady heat conduction. And second most important thing is what, that how to find out the temperature changes. So let us now assume that there is a body here and this body has got some mass m, this body has got some density rho, and this body has got some volume V, and this body has got specific heat at Cp, and value is in joule per kg Kelvin. Okay, and it has some atmosphere whose heat transfer coefficient is H. Okay, so you are losing heat from this body to some what, atmosphere, to some ambient, and which is at what, T infinity obviously. So H and T infinity, and now what I do is that let us say that there is a body of mass m, volume V, density rho, and specific heat Cp, and it is at initial temperature Ti. So its initial temperature is Ti. Initial temperature is Ti, and then my second thought is that I will suppose, like let us say that you are taking certain thing out of the oven, then what do you have is that when it was in like as soon as it was taken out of the oven, it has some initial temperature, and then later on it got decreased simultaneously. So what do I have now is that my Ti is the initial temperature and it is suddenly exposed to the ambient fluid at the instant T is equal to 0 seconds. So what is this temperature Ti is at when you have taken out, and when I have taken out, I have assumed that this was the 0 second, and from this point onwards I am going to analyze the temperature changes into it. Okay, and since the body will keep on losing heat through what, convection, right? So and to whom, convection to whom, to H, whose heat transfer coefficient is H, right? So now what would happen is that my internal energy, like of this internal energy of this body, will keep on decreasing. Yes or no? So with the passage of time, like as the time increases, the internal energy of this body will get decreased. Yes or no? So when this internal energy of this body decreases, then my temperature is function of now what? Time. The internal energy is the function of temperature, and if the internal energy is decreasing, my temperature is decreasing with the passage of time. that means my temperature is function of what? Time. And my T is, what I'm trying to say is that T is the temperature of body, temperature of the body, at any instant, of time t. At any instant t, let us say t is the function of temperature and this t is t only. Okay. So now what I can do is that I will write down the heat balance equation, like whatever heat is going outside, that must be my change in internal energy. So can I write down the rate of heat convection or rate of heat transfer from the body to the fluid, from the body here. So negative of mcp into dt with respect to time. So that is why I have written dt. So now I know what is my heat balance equation, right? Or energy balance equation. And now what I would do is that I would take the variables on one side and then I would integrate it. So can I take dt on this side and temperature on this side? So can I write down now that HA, and this mass specifically is nothing but density into volume, and this Cp is anyway there only. So this is HA rho B Cp into what? This dt, which time. Then if you take the limits of integration, then I have started from some 0 to I am interested to some time t, right? Then this is equal to what? Integration of minus of dt divided by t minus t infinity. Yeah. And where you have started, your initial temperature was T naught or Ti we have seen in this case. So this is Ti and we have reached till home, any particular temperature T. So now when you integrate it, then how it would look like is T minus T infinity, T minus T infinity upon Ti minus T infinity, or you can remember in terms of T naught also, no problem. This would be equal to e to the power minus of HA upon rho VCP, this is the whole, into T. So this is your T minus T infinity upon Ti minus T infinity is equal to e to the power minus of HA by rho B Cp into T. So this is the temperature distribution. Okay. So now one thing which you can see is that I have not assumed this temperature as the function of what? Space. Like we could have written like dt with respect to dx. What is this one? Like when you have this body now, then if you are talking about this body, then what I have indirectly assumed is that there is no dt upon dx, assuming, but it might happen that there is some dt upon dx. What does it mean? That it might happen that body has some temperature here, one temperature here, one temperature here, and it can happen. But this is not possible that I am taking dt upon dx as what? considerable. So here we have indirectly assumed that t is not the function of x, t is only function of whom? T is only function of time on. Yeah, temperature is changing with respect to time only, but temperature is constant with respect to space. Okay. Yeah. Now, and what will be the temperature change? This temperature change will be exponential, right? Why? Because we have seen the temperature change, temperature distribution is exponential. Then if I draw the time versus temperature, let us say this is temperature. So if I draw temperature versus time graph, then what it would happen is that initially you were at this position, and then your temperature is decreasing exponentially. Okay, so what is the rate? Dt upon dt, it should be negative only. Why? Because with the passage of time your temperature is decreasing, so that is why I have drawn it with the decreasing slope. Okay. And what about, like, certain time it might happen that you are taking cold body and you are dropping it to some furnace, like you are trying to analyze, like you are dropping some cold body into a hot bath. In that case, what would happen is that your temperature will be increasing with respect to time, and moreover, what will be the slope here? Your slope will be increasing here. So what it is, that dt upon dt is having positive value here. Got the idea? Okay. Now, so we have seen that t minus t infinity upon ti minus t infinity, this is equal to e to the power minus of ha by rho v cp multiplied by t. So we have one constant, like this unit has, this whole unit has what? What is the unit of this whole term? So this is nothing but HA by rho V Cp. So this must have the unit of 1 upon second. Then only 1 upon second into second will get neutralized, right? So what is the unit? Second inverse. So what do I do is that I convert it into second. So what is the second now? Rho b Cp upon Ha. So this group is called what? Time constant. This group is called time constant of that body. This group is also called time constant of the body. Yeah. And second most important, this time constant has units of whom? Seconds only. Okay. So how do you see, means analyze these situations, like when you can assume that there is no temperature variation with respect to x? When there is no temperature variation with respect to x, this is my case, like I am willing to find out that is there any certain scenarios which will help us to understand that if I am following this one, then my this assumption, like temperature is not the function of x, will be valid. So yes, there is one condition, and what is that? It is signified by whom? That is not the function of x. It is signified by whom? Signified by whom? Biot number. Signified by whom? Biot number. So this number should be less than 0.1 in order to apply this analysis, and this analysis is called what? Lumped heat analysis. What is this called? Lumped heat capacity analysis. Lumped heat capacity analysis. Okay. So this is one. Okay. Now Biot number is nothing but Hs upon K. Biot number, this is nothing but H into S upon K. So what is this H into S upon K? This is nothing but the ratio of what? Internal conduction resistance. So can I write down this one as S upon Ka divided by 1 upon Ha? So can you see that this H A and A will get neutralized? Then this is nothing but Hs upon K only. So what is this ratio trying to signify is it is the ratio of internal conduction resistance. This S upon K is nothing but internal conduction resistance, right? So internal conduction resistance divided by internal conduction resistance offered by whom? Offered by body, okay, and divided by external convective resistance. Mind the word where I have used conduction and resistance, right? So can you see one thing that now if I write down my Biot number, which is S upon Ka divided by 1 upon Ha. So this is S upon Ka. Here what is S? S is the characteristic length, and how it is determined? This is the ratio of volume of the body. The volume of the body will be given to you, right? Divided by what you would do is that area of the body, right? So whenever you are given with the body, you find S by upon A. So now how you will find out Biot number is that S upon K divided by 1 upon Ha. So this value is nothing but internal conduction resistance. Mind the word conduction resistance, and this value is convection, right? But I have told you in the start that this value should be less than equal to point, not even equal to, this value should be less than 0.1, then only my lumped heat capacity is applicable. So in order to apply lumped heat capacity analysis, my Biot number should be less than 1. Then if this value is less than 1, tell me this value is much higher than this one, yes or no? Yes, then only this will be less than 0.1 when this value is much higher compared to S upon Ka. So can I say that here in this case, like when Biot number is less than 0.1, my if I insert, I write down this one as external convection resistance as ECR and internal conduction resistance as ICR. When your Biot number is less than 0.1, then your internal conduction resistance is much less than external convection resistance. Then only this analysis is possible. What? Lumped heat capacity analysis. Yeah. And one more important part. What is that? That my conduction resistance is much low. If my body's conduction resistance is very low, then what will happen? Whatever heat will come, let us say at this point, then my body will offer no conduction resistance. That means what? This heat will get uniformly and very quickly get to all the positions. Why? Because your body is not offering any conduction resistance. It is offering, but compared to this one, this is very low. So if your conduction resistance is very low, whenever your, let us say, some heat is coming at this point in this body, then what happens is that this gets uniformly distributed, and in that distribution, what do I find is that everywhere, like wherever I go, what do I see is that my temperature is C. For example, let us say that my temperature was being increased to 100 degrees Celsius, then this is 100, this is 100, this is 100, like every corner, anywhere anywhere in the body, what do you see is that my remaining constant. Then what do I say is that my temperature is not the function of space. Here I can say that temperature is not the function of space, right? Not the function of space. Then I can say that my temperature is function of whom? Time only. One thing. And second thing, this all is happening due to whom? If my body is able to offer very less amount of conduction resistance, otherwise this is not possible. Okay. Then there is one similarity between what? Biot number and Nusselt number. How Nusselt number is defined is H into D upon K, and how Biot number is signified is H into S upon K. So here in Biot number, what is this K? K is the insulators, or let us say if there was some body, then K is the resistance of body only. Okay. And here what is the K? K is of the fluid. One thing. And second, what was D here? D is again the characteristic dimension. And here what is your S? S is V upon A. So can you see that the K things are completely changed, and this characteristic dimension will also get changed. When we will study Nusselt number, then we will understand it more further. But Biot number, sometimes in the objective questions they ask us, what, that Biot number resembles whom. So Biot number, I can say Biot number resembles whom? Resembles whom? Nusselt number. Why? Because I can see H into S upon K form is in the both of the one, but here things are different. When we are talking about Biot number, then we are talking particularly with the body, but here we have body and the fluid interface. Okay. And one more thing, that if this Biot number has to less than 1, then what about S? This S value should be also lesser, right? So what is happening here is that this volume is lesser, and if volume is lesser, then can I say that the body which you are taking about is that body is of smaller size? Body is of smaller size, then only I can say my lumped heat capacity is applicable. Like this, I am telling you that these are the useful outcomes of your equations, means assumptions, right? So your body is what? Size is small, one thing. Second thing is that internal conduction resistance is small, and K we are talking about with respect to whom? Body in the Biot number, and K here is for the fluid. Okay. So the conduction part is completed here. So we will work upon convection part in the next class. Okay.